What's up, guys? This is Htaed7-RCT, bringing you not only another live stream, but basically a whole bunch of them. Coming up next is something that I had promised you guys for the longest time, but I had somehow failed to deliver. But I gathered my strength and I went back to it and I churned it out, and now here it is. Final Fantasy Retrospective for you guys. I will try to do my best because, see, I understand that I am not a person who is perhaps very good with words and expressing them. I know that's kind of like a weak point on my side, but there is a lot to display and showcase here, because Final Fantasy, to me, on an emotional level, it connects to me as a gamer from the very beginning. See, I didn't come into this like halfway through or at the end of it, but basically from the beginning. So it's very, very dear to me as a gamer, and as well as the influence that it has caused in other mediums. Final Fantasy carries a name. Its music, its art style, its stories have influenced a lot of other mediums as well. You know, books, movies, you name it. Final Fantasy has always been some sort of influence on some degree or some level. There's two names that I need to mention before I start this off, because this is like the first part. I calculated that it's gonna be an 8-parter. I'm gonna be ranging from all different eras. NES era, which I'm gonna cover tonight. NES, SNES era, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and going to end with PlayStation 3 with Final Fantasy 13. Now, I chose to not include remakes or anthologies because I want to go to the original games as they came out, and talk a little bit in between those, and talk about how it influenced me, how much of an impact I felt, in my opinion. Remember, you got to take this as my opinion. A lot of people do not like Final Fantasy. I can understand and respect that, but for those of you who do, and you do embrace its rich history and what has ported and given to the industry, well, I welcome you guys for the ride, and I hope you stick with it until the very end. I'm going to be spanning basically all the streaming services from Hitbox, like tonight, also Twitch and YouTube Gaming. So yeah, be on the lookout. First of all, let's move on to the gameplay, where mostly everything is going to be displayed here. As you can see, I already have this set up. I'm gonna let it have that little music in the background while I talk to you guys. You're gonna be seeing, at least for the next few days, you're gonna be seeing on the right hand corner in the bottom, you're gonna see the format or the system that the games that I'm gonna be covering pertain to. You're also more than welcome to come into the chat and give your memoirs or your memories of basically which one of the Final Fantasies in your opinion is the best, or you like the most, and why. There are two names that I need to mention before we start off, because as everybody knows, Final Fantasy, at least the first one, and this has been documented for a long time, was basically something done by Square, a game done by Square Soft. A lot of people forget that. I don't know why there's a tendency to mention Square, pre-Square Enix, as just Square. No, their name was Square Soft. And the main name at least the most important to me there, which is right up there with Miyamoto and some other very important figures in the industry, is Hironobu Sakaguchi, which is basically the creator. And at some point we're going to be talking about how a lot of drama came in from moving from one platform to the other, and how, you know, because like everything, you know, that spans a certain amount of years is going to go, it's going to evolve, and it's going to change. You know, nothing stays the same. So of course, Hironobu Sakaguchi being the creator, and his involvement and his influence in these incredible set of games. And of course, another name that I need to mention, oops, I'm sorry about that, is one by, hold on a second guys, don't go, I got it right here because my memory is not very good. Okay, Nobuo Uematsu, which is basically the creator of the music, that iconic music that you're hearing right now from the first one, and so many other beautiful soundtracks that this man has created in these Final Fantasy games. So yeah, there are so many more names and influential people involved in the series as a whole, but since this is kind of like an intro to the whole thing, I wanted to mention those two. To me, are very dear for what they brought to the table in terms of the games and the quality and the music. You know, it stands the test of time, in my opinion. So yeah, let's dive into Final Fantasy. One more thing to know, and this is at least on the level of my personal experience, is that I don't know if it happened with the first. I'm guessing not so much, because it was the initial title, and at the time when the NES was really catching on and had a lot of user base, basically this title came from nowhere at a time where the main dog at the time was Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest by Enix. And you know, if you were a gamer from back then, in all the magazines they would cover this, is how crazy they would go, standing in lines to buy or purchase the next, you know, Dragon Quest game. So Final Fantasy joined the ranks of crazy fans, you know, making these incredibly ridiculous lines, sometimes spanning whole blocks in Japan, basically to stand in line and get a chance to purchase the game. Later on, I'll be interjecting with a little bit more on that, because it's not the fact of the lines, but how crazy the Japanese people took this, how serious they took it. You know, there's a lot more to talk about in that regard, but for now, let's go into the first Final Fantasy. Yep, guys, there we have it. The iconic and beautiful music. As simple as those few notes were, they have been carried a long way for many years. And even though now we get remastered versions and with a whole ensemble of instruments and stuff, you know, this is basically like where it all began. Now, this is a bit finicky, so I'm gonna try my best not to fumble here and choose. Okay, I'm just gonna randomly use different names that I used to. Hey Anthony, welcome my friend. You caught me right after finishing my intro on how the whole series is gonna play out, and me welcoming here everybody, either gamers or not. You cannot deny the influence of the Final Fantasy franchise. So yes, buddy, you're welcome to come aboard and check out, at least for tonight, the first 3 entries on, of course, the Famicom system and Nintendo, which is the American variant. So yeah, there you go, that beautiful crescendo of the music, that iconic tune that has been here like for so many years. So yeah, absolutely incredible. So yeah, okay, what did I do? Oh wait, okay, I'm gonna go crazy with the naming stuff because should choose a white mage, and let's call that one Oop. How about that? Oop. Or oof. How about that? And the other one we'll call Grr. There you go. Oh my God, Mr. Softy! It's early and you're already starting to bring back another set of memories. Oh my God, yes. Ice cream! Ice cream! So how's it going, my buddy? How you doing over there at the forums, at the Neo Geo forums, guys? Wanna check it out? AtariAge.com, Neo Geo forums. Master Jedi Anthony over there. It's amazing, my friend. I mean, listen to this. Not much to go on because at the time, of course, there was a very strict limitation memory-wise. We're talking about, you know, K-bytes or K-bits allowed, you know, for music. So given the limitations, it's incredible what the composer was able to, you know, bring out on the system. And the thing is that you listen to these tunes and it's like immediately you get the connection because later on they reuse and they remastered these tunes into other games, but you listen to them here and it's like, whoa, I remember that song, you know. So yeah, I think the music is one of those pillars in Final Fantasy that has carried over independent of platform. It has been a constant in enduring or, you know, lasting for so long in the conscience of a lot of people. So you're waiting. That would be funny though. I have to admit that would be funny, seeing the ice cream truck just move along in the screen. That would be cool. The Light Warriors. Yeah, that's another thing that has been a constant in Final Fantasy games, is that there's always the light aspect and the dark aspect and the crystals. Oh my God, every single Final Fantasy there has to be a crystal. That's like a very iconic visual thing in all Final Fantasies. Well, somebody seems to be hungry. Now you want a banana split, okay. Well, I gotta tell you, with the weather that I'm having over here, which is pretty hot, that would be pretty cool, man. That would be an awesome thing right now. As of right now, I'm drinking iced coffee, iced black coffee. So yeah, I need something to cool myself down. And this lamp, that's, oh my God, it has me sweating in here. Okay, so please help the princess. Where we have our first mission. Alright, Afro Soul in the house. Been missing you a lot, Afro Soul. What's up? What's up? Haven't seen you in the chat for a long time. go around talking to different characters and trying to pick up stuff. I remember being blown away the first time that I played this, being blown away by the fact that the music really kind of grabbed me, and even though the graphics are a bit similar to Dragon Quest, which at the time and other titles like Faxanadu, because of course they're working with the limitations, so this is kind of like the main view for gameplay, and was standard for a very long time, at least on the Nintendo platform, the NES. There was something about it that kind of screamed quality, but the thing that really knocked it out of the park for me was the first time I encountered the fighting. I mean, the fighting, and you're gonna see now, you see? This right here. Now, I don't know. Well, I agree with you to a certain point, Anthony, because Dragon Warrior was like already something very proven. It had, I don't know, it had a certain something that made you feel like you had a complete like world to explore and stuff. But again, remember that Final Fantasy, just like its name, was something as a last attempt, you know, to gaining something, some kind of success in an overcrowded market for the NES. That's why, you know, a lot of people have said that many times before. You know, the name Final Fantasy was just that. This was like the last attempt for them. So, giving that and taking that as a whole, you have to admit that this system right here, the fighting system, I got to enjoy it. I mean, it blew me away. Coming from Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, where you would see them like basically in front, and they weren't very animated. If you remember, I mean, mostly all of the Sega games at that time, and including Dragon Quest, was like that. You would act, you would choose, you would see a small animation, but they wouldn't move as much, or it wasn't as visual as the Final Fantasy games presented themselves. So, you know, alrighty, Aaron Classic Gamers in the house. Good. The crew is here. So as you know, guys, I started as a last minute thing. I started a poll. Let's see how that goes, where I asked from you guys which was your favorite Final Fantasy. And I simplified it a bit, because that's kind of, you know, hard question to answer unless you have a specific one that you really hold on to. Also, I know yours is 7. I'm not gonna fight against that, don't worry. But in the poll, I separated them by eras. You know, eras in time, like 1 to 3, NES, SNES, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3. So yeah, go right ahead and answer. Give me your best. What's your favorite? What's your favorite period in time? Would be a better way to say that. You know, what's your favorite period in time of the Final Fantasy games? Now this right here, it's not much to go on, because you have, like I said, you have like limited animation in the fighting screens and stuff like that. That's why I'm not gonna go in depth actually playing the game. I'm just gonna show off basically a little bit of each one. The element of strategy that's added to the fights is the fact of you having from the outset the knowledge that you not only have fighting skills, but you also have magic, and you have items and all that right there, plus the option to run. So like the screen in itself, everything that's going on here was nicely laid out, you know, and I hadn't seen up to that point, I haven't seen a similar layout in other RPGs. So to me that was kind of cool. Okay, I need to get out of the screen. There you go. Now there was, of course, alright, so Afro Soul, that's a given. PS1 era, I knew it. And Aaron Classic Gamer, that's a good era to be in, man. And not because I'm biased, but yeah, that's a very influential era indeed, as you're gonna be seeing later on with the next ones that I'm gonna be doing. As a matter of fact, let me set this here. The only bad thing, if you can see that as a bad thing, I didn't see it that way back then, is a high level of grinding that you have to do. Grinding wasn't even a term back then. I mean, it started becoming a term later on. But the fact that you had to repeat so many fights just to level up, and you know, the music, thank God it was good, because you had to listen to it a lot, over and over. So yeah, thank God for small favors in that respect. There you go, SNES. I'm right there with you guys, man. Now I tried, for some reason I tried to acquire or get or download a video that I was discussing with Afro Soul a few minutes ago, because you guys know the whole debacle where, you know, Squaresoft was actually making all these awesome Final Fantasy games, and then they made the transition to the PlayStation console. But back in the day, there used to be actual video footage of what would have been Final Fantasy VII on the N64. Now that itself would have been very nice to have here. I'm going to try in the next few days to see if I can find it. And of course, I was one of those guys that was incredibly devastated when they made the change. And the thing is that little demo, that video demo, was looking really good. I mean, it had these little graphical tricks like fawn shading and a whole bunch of other, you know, like anti-aliasing little stuff going on there. Really nice. The only difference was that you would see the characters in a more super deformed, like you see them here, like here in SNES versions of them. They weren't lifelike as we got to see them in the PlayStation console, where they were like adult size and all that, more realistic because of the format, of course. But I'm gonna try and get that video, because that video, that little, a few seconds, and it actually didn't have the Final Fantasy VII characters. They were showcasing it with the Final Fantasy V characters, so it looked really beautiful. So yeah, I'm almost dead here. My party is almost dead, and I keep missing. Damn it! I got no Phoenix down, I'm guessing, so those are gonna stay dead. Alright, so let's go. Hold on, wait. Let me see if I can survive this fight. Jesus. And the iconic tomb. Another one. The victory you know, music that you get after finishing each fight. That one, you know, that one is another one that goes down in history as one of the most iconic music pieces that you can have it like anywhere playing and people, they're gonna recognize it right away. It made that much of an impact. So, not for nothing, but I need some healing right away. And I have no magic and no items and no nothing. So these guys are basically dead right now. If I don't reach, I stray too far away, and that's a golden rule. You cannot stray too far away because you will die. Not until you reach higher levels anyway. Now wait a second. There's a castle. I need to go into town. So yeah, gotta go into town. There we go. Need to revive these guys. Thank you, I do not want to turn my power off. These are still dead. Fantastic. Of course, I should have set up and bought some weapons, would have helped a lot. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to start doing that, but with the second one. Now that one was the first one on the NES. That one was more recognizable, of course, because that one came out of the States. Now the next one up, I don't even have a video preview for it. I only have the icon, is Final Fantasy II. For the longest time there were a prototype of the game, you know, around the internet and stuff like that you could download, but fortunately fans all over, different kind of translation groups took care of taking one of these ROMs, one of these games, and translating it full and fixing some of the bugs that were affecting the game. Hopefully that'll be the case now, and I don't get a buggy game. There you go. So this is basically Final Fantasy II. As you can see, translation by Neo Demi Force, version 1.03, which is a finalized version, more stable. But this is basically what the Japanese market got back in the day, with the difference that this one is translated. Now this one, I got the chance to play it later on when it became Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls for the Game Boy Advance. I can't remember if I actually finished it because, God, there were so many games, but yeah, I was pretty much Final Fantasy buff, just like Castlevania and some other series that you just have to play all of the games. So, okay, let's name this dude Mad, because he seems kind of mad like me. And this one, we'll call this guy... we'll call this guy Tan. No, not Tass. Why are the buttons so jumpy? Okay, there you go. We'll call this guy Tan because he seems to be kind of tan. Now this one right here, I got the feeling I should call her Becky. For some reason, I don't know why, but I want... Oh, wait! Okay, there you go. We're gonna call her Becky. Love the purple hair. Pretty rockin'. Okay, this guy, we're gonna call this guy... I don't know. We'll call him pump. There you go. So there we have, right away, we're thrown into battle. No ifs, ands, or buts, you know. No introduction or anything. We just thrown into a fight. And here is my nifty cast of characters, Mad, Becky, Pump, and Tan. Which is very cool that you have the option to name them whatever the hell you want to. Rip Ice in the house, alright. There you go, Rip Ice. That's right, my friend. Final Fantasy VI, that's coming up, buddy. Don't worry about it. That's the next one, actually. It's a good thing that Rip Ice mentions that. Like I told you guys, I'm basically gonna be covering it by eras, right? So tonight is the NES era. Wednesday I'm gonna be off. I'm gonna be doing some stuff with our buddy here, Htaed7 Gamer, for our collab on Sunday. Don't miss that. It's gonna be really good. There's some talks about giving away a free retro game, so stay tuned for that. But basically on Thursday on Twitch, that's the SNES era part 1, because I had to divide it in 2 parts. Why, you ask? Well, simple. The first one that's going to be on Twitch, I'm going to cover 4 and 5. 4 being Final Fantasy 2 on the Americas, as you know. And then 5, which never came to the States. You know, it was a Japanese only release. And I was fortunate enough to get one that was fully translated. So yeah, those 2 I'm going to cover on Thursday. And then on the second part of the SNES era, I will be devoting that to Final Fantasy 3, or like Rip Ice pointed out, Final Fantasy 6. Don't miss that one, because that one to me is like, it's like the Castlevania 4 when I did the Castlevania Retrospective, remember? That one is like, oh my god, to me, like, I'm gonna go all blubbering mess, because it really brings back like the best memories that I had with the system, with that game. Everything from the music, drama, you'll see. Let's focus. Let me focus. Oh, Aaron. Oh, no. You're not gonna bait me, Aaron. Not this time. Not with that comment. Shoo, troll. Shoo. You're not gonna get me there. You know that what you're saying is an impossibility. Come on. Let's be serious now. Try to reassess what you just said. Analyze that for a bit. Let it stew. And then when you feel like you don't want to play around or try to bait me into a discussion, then you can say, okay, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. But I'm not going to give you the pleasure of letting the people out there know what you just said. Even if they see it in the chat, I'm not going to even acknowledge it. Alright, so there we go. Alright, I got one dead. Actually, all of these are going to die, because that's the way that the game begins. You start out by getting killed, or almost killed, basically. You see you're fighting some very heavy-duty knights here. All the attacks are doing minimal damage, or none at all. So it's kind of like a hook, you know, kind of like to surprise you or grab it. Oh my god, I already died? But no, it's part of the story. Okay, I see. So Rip Ice, what other Final Fantasy besides Final Fantasy 6 can you count as being your favorites? Because that, to me, that one, like, it's ranking right up there. I think that has to be my favorite. But Final Fantasy 2 actually is right up there as well. Another one of the favorites to me was I think I hold it dearly because it wasn't welcomed for whatever reason. A lot of people became fans, but most of the people, they kind of like pushed it away when it came out. And it's actually Final Fantasy 9 on a PlayStation 1. For some reason, the popularity of 7 and 8 that came afterwards were like so high that when Final Fantasy 9 came around, it was like, I'll talk more about that when we approach that era, but I like that game a lot. I mean, in terms of summons and magical things and the whole fantasy element, you know, super deformed characters, I found it to be like a very welcoming of, you know, the classic stuff like it used to be. So it's a nice throwback, but a lot of people didn't really like it that much. So. See? 9. That's right. Ultima series, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of influence there. Ultima being more of a PC true and true, you know, bred on the PC platform and spanning oh my god, so many different iterations. A lot of people are gonna go, you know, back and forth. I'm not saying, or I don't pretend to say that Final Fantasy is like the best RPG series, because that in the end is up to the gamer. It's up to personal preference, of course. But what the whole point of doing this retrospective is more to point out or bring it to the public once again, or let it be here, you know, stated in this retrospective, that even if there were RPG series that in many gamers' eyes were the best, this one brought the RPG, the term RPG, to the mainstream public. You know, before it was a very isolated genre, you know, kind of like what happened to many of the genres that we love and we miss right now, like the shooters and the beat-em-ups and the platformers. You know, very popular to a segment, but there were only a few games that really skyrocketed the genre up to, you know, levels where a lot of people would get to play them. You know? So Final Fantasy, in my book, they did just that. Later on, Dragon Quest as well, because that popularity from the Japanese market, you know, came to the States after a while, but it never reached the level of appreciation, if you want to say that, that the Final Fantasy got, and recognition, of course. Okay, Wild Rose, don't forget it. Okay, so here you get a system to learn a password that you're gonna need. Here we go. What is our party composed of? Mad, Becky, and Pump. Okay. That's what we got so far. Let's go. How about the Wizard? Wizard, you got something for me? Alright, let's go. How about weapons? What do I have as weapons? Okay. This dude has the broadsword. Nothing on equipment. we go from era to era. Hey, got a potion. One of the things, or one of the reasons why I neglected, let's say neglected to start the Final Fantasy retrospective is because it's a very, the genre of RPG is something that unless I'm willing to invest like hours upon hours, it's kind of hard to have it, you know, stream it. Especially with RPGs where you need to focus like every little detail and stuff, items and quests, it can get ugly pretty quickly. So I need like something to show you guys and find a way to interact with you guys as well, because I don't want to leave you feeling like you're talking and I'm not paying attention because I'm playing the damn game. So yeah, that's why tonight's stream is going to be very short, because it's just an introduction and setting the tone of how the rest of the streams are going to be. You're going to see a lot of art going on back and forth. You're going to be seeing a lot of games, and hopefully I'll be able to cover each and every one of them with the care that I want to in the end. So okay, now let's pop in Final Fantasy 3, this one from 1993. Yep, that's right, Anthony. All of those that you've mentioned are RPGs that, you know, that they left their mark, but at the same time they never gained like that popularity, like that mainstream popularity, because it was like most of the time it was relegated to a certain sector. In this case, all of those games that you mentioned are basically, at some point in time, they came out first as a PC game, and they ended up being ports to the NES or whatever platform of console was, you know, popular at the time. So, you know, it's a shame that most of these classics, most of the people have never played it or even encountered it because of that limitation. So the next one up is Final Fantasy 3. This one, aside from that little glitches here and there they're gonna see, because this one bounced around a lot until it was available on the finalized form, completely translated. So yeah, this is Final Fantasy 3, and as you can see, you're starting to get the intro and the intro music. You start naming the characters again. Here we go again. For some reason, this button is too quick. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, forget about the names, guys. Let's just get on with it. K. Oh my god, I can't have a name like that. Now this one throws us right in the middle. At least we're not fighting yet, but now this soundtrack right here, I know I've heard it before, many times before. I wouldn't recognize it by name, of course, but there's something about that tune that's very memorable. Now this one, Final Fantasy 3, we were fortunate enough in the later years to receive this as a DS game. This came out as Final Fantasy 3. However, the caveat, if you can call it that, was that it wasn't 2D as this one, but it was presented in a 3D way. You had 3D graphics on it. But as far as I know, it's the same story, same setting, etc., etc. So for people who didn't get a chance to play this one, you had that option, but many years later, of course, when the DS came out. Then it became part of, you know, other anthologies like the PS1 and some other Game Boy ports and stuff like that. Now, of course, it would have been a lot easier if I excuse me, if I would have presented those, but I wanted somehow to remain authentic to the whole, like the games, the way they used to look and they used to behave. That's why I wanted to go, even if they were translated games, I wanted them to be authentic as possible. That's always a constant. You're always going to be fighting in the beginning goblins. There's goblins everywhere. Goblins, goblins, goblins. But here, in this one, you start seeing a little bit of the evolution in the gameplay where your characters are not divided like with a column and isolated to one corner, but they're more part of a whole scene. And they start moving a little bit, having a little bit more animation. Of course, where all of these concepts are going to come to fruition is when we go and move to the SNES one, where you had, of course, a lot more memory to do music and animations and stuff like that. So that's going to be like the first visual and sound upgrade that the series is going to receive. But from 1 to 3, at least you can see the evolution of it. And of course, all of these games were received in Japan exceptionally well. You know, like I said in the beginning, creating lines, you know, all the way around buildings and stuff like that. I was trying to get some pictures on that, but I wasn't available to get them on time to have for you guys so you can see that. I know at least Anthony remembers that a lot, because that's how it used to be back in the day. Like, Japanese would be like really crazy when one of these Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy would come out. Even to a point that they were eventually, in a certain point of time, even create their own holiday. Like, every time one of these RPGs would be out in the market for you to buy, purchase, they would declare it like a holiday or whatever, and people would be like leaving their jobs and guys, you know, kids cutting school and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how serious Japanese people would take their gaming. Now, you gave me a good idea right there, Anthony, since we basically covered all three first entries of the Final Fantasy series, at least on the NES era. We should go and, since I'm here, and it's still doing some pretty good time. Oh, now we get some nastier monsters here. Let me see if I can survive this fight. That's how it was. That's how it was. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to dedicate the last few minutes of the stream to highlight some of the games, like you mentioned, that were around at the same time that Final Fantasy was a thing. Like here's one. We have Htaed7-RCT. I remember this one. Let's see. You mentioned. Okay, there's. No. Let's see. What was the competition back in the day? Here we go. Of course, you had Dragon Warrior, which was the staple, of course. Talking at least in terms of, the Japanese flavored RPG. Dragon Warrior 2, Htaed7-RCT, Taurutan. I love it. Dragon Warrior 3 and Dragon Warrior 4. All of these in Japan, they made a killing. To me, to my understanding, where it started waning away, at least in the States, was when Dragon Warrior 3 came around. This one didn't make that much of an impact, to be honest. I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong. Let's see what else we got here, because this list is really long. Deja Vu, right here. Again, these are a different kind of RPG because these are more based like a point and click kind of adventure. Again, based on the PC platform, because that's vast majority of those type of games were prominent in the PC platform. So you had this. See what else? Let's see what else. This one, Broderbund. Yeah, Broderbund. That's from the PC also. What else? What else were the ones that you were mentioning, Anthony? Like your favorite alternative. Here's another one, but this one is from SNK. It's an action RPG. Yeah. And let's see what else we got here. In terms of RPG, the NES of course had more than a fair share of RPGs, but they weren't limited to one type of RPGs, but they had a mix of point and click adventures. You had the pseudo 3D perspective, like kind of like the Dungeon Explorer type of RPGs that were more, again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, were more prominent to American, British section and PC market. Let's see what else. Now how about, oh my god, no, Lord, no Barbie, please, no Barbies. Magic of, yep, that one. I'm not gonna pronounce it because every time I pronounce it, I go into a blabbering fool. Magic of Sharade. Magic of Shishers. So I kind of like stop trying to. There you go, right here. That one. That one. Yep. Again, Culture Brain. That was a company that was responsible for mostly bringing PC titles over to the SNES. We got Magician. Hey, maybe one of these days I'll do a retrospective on this one. Mega Man. How about that? So yeah, guys, but no, my mission in life is going to be doing a retrospective on this right here after I finish Final Fantasy. So yeah, guys, exactly, Wizardry. There was another game, now that you mentioned Wizardry 1 and 2, there was one, but that one wasn't an RPG. It was more like an action RPG or platformer. Oh my god, that's the one that has the guy, the male model dude that has like the sword that he's like a Conan clone or something like that in the cover. I forgot the name of it. Star Tropics is another one. That one is Nintendo. Oh my god, what was the name of that game? Okay, I'm gonna look for Wizardry. I'm gonna look for Wizardry because I think it has to do with that franchise, the one I'm talking about. Here are the ones that you see. Dungeon Explorer type of games where you got the pseudo 3D thing going on. Again, coming, ports of PC games at the time that were very popular. Okay. Wizards and Warriors. This is it right here. This one, I used to love these. But there's one missing here, or I got the wrong cover for it. I think it's this one. Let me see if there's another one down here. No, that was it. Either I don't have the cover for it, but it was this Wizard and Warriors. This game, oh my god, I spent so many hours on this game. Okay, Shadowgate, I know it's here because there it is. Hey, again, you see the tendency. Point and click adventure. You know, it's an RPG, but not the same type of RPG. This one is more like closer to the point and click adventure type. It mixes the point and click with the Dungeon Explorer type of game. Oh my god, I'm seeing so many names here that... so many forgotten games. But yeah, guys. That's gonna be everything for tonight. Star Tropics. So yeah, there were plenty of RPG experiences on the platform at the time, and I still haven't even covered probably not even 30% of the total games that were available on the platform. But the thing is that the ones that really had the lasting impression and that kept going forward with each platform or newer platform that would come out, on the very top would be, in the case of the consoles, I'm not talking about PC, it would be Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. And so much so that eventually both of the companies realized that they needed to somehow merge, which they ended up doing, Squaresoft and Enix. Enix had later on, even on the SNES platform, which I'm gonna prepare that, because Anthony, you gave me a really good idea, that in case after I finish showing off these games to you guys, I will cover a little bit of the competing RPGs on that platform, be it SNES or PlayStation 1 or 2. I'm going to do exactly that. Now that's going to be all for now, at least with this first introductory episode of the Final Fantasy Retrospective. I'd like to thank you guys for being part of it, even though it wasn't a very long thing, just about over an hour. But yeah, it's just basically to set the tone of what we're going to be looking into for the next 2 weeks almost, because it's going to be 8 parts, each dedicated to covering the major games on the major platforms within the Final Fantasy series. So I hope it's been fun for you guys, as short as it was, and that it's gonna be even more fun when we approach and reach the platform of your choice, or the favorite games of your choice. So I hope you guys will stick around for that. Aaron, in any case, if you're gonna stream, give me a shout, or let me know what you're gonna be having, so I can head over there. Rebeyes, thanks a lot, my friend, for coming over. Anthony and Aaron, AfroSoul, and whoever's out there that's watching, I know this one was a little light on content, but I did it on purpose. It's on purpose because, once again, sorry for repeating myself, I want to set the tone. This is just an intro to what is to come later on. And believe me, there is no short of content. Final Fantasy is a big, big franchise. So I hope to see you guys next time. Take care. Peace for you guys. Thanks for being here. See ya.